Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God, and this is All in the Charts. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, drop me a comment, and click that bell icon for all notifications to know when I go live each and every single weekday. Enjoying a live bubbly here, my friends. I hope you're having a bubbly... No, that sounds a little queer. I hope you're having a great day. Todd, as always, super chats are never expected but always appreciated. Thank you for the support. And yes, as I always say at the top of the live stream, there's at least one of you out there who has tuned in to every single live stream and I know has never hit the thumbs up button. And my hope for you is at some point you are a content creator so that you understand just exactly what I mean by the fact that us content creators on YouTube are governed by the overlords on YouTube, and our channels are only deemed to be worthy if they get engagement, like the engagement I'm getting right now. Well, I thank you, kind sirs, and the kind of ladies. If there's any lady, let's fucking go. Oof! Guys, today's TA Q&A, so make sure you got those questions ready. You know something that I wanted to kick the live stream off because I was prepping my dinner that I'm going to have after this live stream. And I was thinking to myself, I know there's at least one of you listening right now that can really, wow. This is the second live stream in a row I have lost my train of thought in words. Maybe my mind is not unfogging itself. I just created a new word. I know at least one of you out there can relate to what I'm about to say, but I hate those freezer bags. Like when you buy something, in this case what I'm talking about is I bought frozen, thinly sliced chicken breast from Costco. And they come in these bags and they advertise they are resealable bags. They are the most pain in the ass resealable bags. It never fucking works. Never. It takes forever to open the fucker up, and if you manage to open the bag up without ripping it, the bags don't reseal. They don't work with you. They don't reseal. You have to get rubber bands out and try and rubber band that shit together, and it's a fucking mess. Can anyone out there relate with me, please? At least one of you that's listening right now. The resealable bags that you get in food items that go in the freezer, that shit doesn't reseal. Like, it's total lie in marketing. Oof, you know it's all in the charts, my friend. It's all in the charts. Now, I know about the CPI coming out tomorrow, but it's all in the charts, my friend. Guys, but thank you for the reminder to the audience on that. Remember, guys, our focus right now, focus, like I say in the gym. Everyone always busts on me when I'm in the gym. I'm talking to myself. Focus. Come on, CBG, focus. Your focus should be on identifying those handful of indicators that will tell you when it's likely the market is topping and when you should begin to scale out of your investments. Who cares if the market tops in June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, or March of next year? It shouldn't matter to you. But yes, shorter term, I know that a lot of people are focusing on a lot of this CPI bullshit. And that's the point, Oof. That's the point of what you just said. That's why on this channel, what I really like to do is I like to communicate what I think are the key points, right? The key points to keep you guys abreast of what's going on. There's still a 15-year-old kid in me that when I say the word abreast, there's a little twerk in my eye, a little snicker. But I like to keep you abreast. I like to keep you abreast of, I'll just keep saying abreast. I like to keep you abreast. I like to keep you abreast. I like to keep you abreast of just the key things that you need to focus on in this market. We don't want to overcomplicate our lives. You can focus on 50 different things, or you can just kind of narrow your focus in on the few things that really, really matter. Of course, if you're really involved in this market and you're paying attention to some really value-added technicians in the space, like the two I call on here in my pinned tweet, they'll often come out with very unique value-added views in the market. I think those are things that are also interesting to take a look at. I'll give you a great example. So TechDev52 puts out a newsletter that I'm subscribed to. And in that newsletter, he goes into great in depth, great detail in terms of what he sees for this market cycle, right? Some of which I've noticed he does share on Twitter. Some is proprietary to the newsletter, so I really don't want to get into specifics. But it's interesting to read and see his viewpoints. He doesn't provide his viewpoints in a way that clutter my own thought process, or it's just a bunch of gobbledygook with 50 different views. No, he keeps a very simplistic, logical, level-headed view in terms of what charts he's looking at, and kind of delves into how much time he has spent on different views, and it's very interesting. So those are really the content creators you want to make sure that you're gravitating towards. Juan, welcome in. Jorge, always good to see you, my friend. I don't know if you got my message on Instagram the other day, but looks like things are going well in nursing for you. Hey, bro, can you chart NXRA? You're the NXRA guy. We've charted NXRA many times. But yeah, I'd be happy to take a look. And please tell me something positive about Casper. Now, I don't have anything positive about Casper to tell you. Sorry. Chart looks like shit. USD chart just looks like shit. BTC relativity chart looks like shit. In fact, the BTC relativity chart looks like horse shit. We've taken a look at that. Yes, at some point it's going to pump with the rest of the market. A rising tide lifts all boats. There may be one motherfucker who comes at me and says, see, I told you Casper would pump. And the thing, like I said, that people forget, or that they're not paying attention to, is that while all these other projects have done multiples upon multiples of runs, Casper's done this nice little run, and it's completely lost momentum at this point. The chart, you got to admit, at times, know when to hold them and know when to fold them. If you've been wrong about something, I've shared charts that just have not been as strong as I would have anticipated, and you got to own that. So it's not gonna be the first time that this happens, right? I have good calls and I have bad calls, right? And I think the important thing is to own it and be honest with you guys and not make excuses. The charts are the charts. The way the charts have developed on Casper, it looks like a steaming pile of shit at the moment. Now, could it turn around? Could a year from now the chart look a lot different? Sure. But probabilistically speaking, looking at that chart right now, it's not looking good, my friend. Not looking good at all. All right. NXRA is the first. By the way, Todd, since you were kind enough to give that super chat, my friend, do you have any TA Q&A for me? Please chart BB. Oh, we were going to take a look at that, right? BlackBerry looks to run with GME. Did you guys see my tweet earlier today or post? Of course, this got a decent amount of love. Don't know if you saw this, but do you guys remember, if you've been here for a while with me, back in late 2023, I had commented I was trying to reopen my Interactive Brokers account, and it was taking forever. And one of the charts that I pointed out to you guys, let's take a look at it. I haven't even pulled it up because I'm a little salty about it, was GameStop, and it was in a massive falling wedge, right? In fact, we started to break down below the massive falling wedge. And if I were to actually, with updated chart data, you could see here we got, again, we've spoken about this so many different times. We got a little bit of a deviation, right? A little bit of a range deviation in the chart right here, and then we broke massively to the upside. Now, GameStop was one of those plays that I was telling you I was very interested in getting into in the $14 level. This thing pumped all the way up to 65, right? Little salty about that. And the other thing that I had pointed out, if you go back in time when that gamma squeeze took place, which I did give a presentation on in my former company that I used to work for, which was a lot of fun for me. If you look at the timing of that, when a lot of people were giving a giant to money market managers who were manipulating stock prices, and they put a gamma short squeeze, they figured they basically, the long and short is, a lot of people determined there were a lot of people short on GameStop, and they fucked those people over, those money market managers over, and created a huge short. that a lot of fund managers lost a lot of money in. And so if you look at the timing of when that massive short squeeze occurred in GameStop, that was right around the time right as it actually started to end, when the gamma squeeze started to end. That was when you saw Doge go on a massive run, Shiba Inu, your meme coins, and then money started flowing into all your altcoins. You know, HBAR went on a big run, Harmony One had a massive run, Decentraland, Mana, all the altcoins, and not to mention Bitcoin, right? So interesting to see. We're seeing something similar right now. Now, whether we see something similar play out from a timing perspective, we'll have to see. History doesn't like to repeat, it often likes to rhyme though, right? So we'll have to see if something similar pans out. But I just think the way the charts are lining up right now, and all the higher time frame data that I've been looking at with you guys, it wouldn't surprise me. Again, the two scenarios I am leaning towards, which I spoke to yesterday, is either we're going to see May finish very strongly and we're going to see a big move up sooner rather than later, or we're going to see some sort of a fake out to the downside. It will be very short-lived, and then we're going to start our massive leg up. So we'll have to see. That's the way I am leaning at the moment, but we'll have to see kind of how this plays out. Now, I do have some TA questions coming in. I don't really have anything new on Bitcoin to add that we haven't spoken to already. So, of course, I was checking out a lot of meme coin plays here. Shiba Inu. Okay. So first question coming in here is from Jorge, who's asking about NXRA. Now, I know this is one that we've charted before, so I should have some existing chart data on this. Oh, by the way, if you also saw, I had posted out earlier today, definitely feel like I got some food poisoning. ChatGPT educated me that with food poisoning, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're vomiting and you're, or you have the shits, just to put it plainly. That doesn't necessarily mean that's the case, because that was not the case for me. But I had extreme body aches. I felt horrible. And it's the second time it's happened in the past week. And the commonality I've linked it to is this baby spinach I've been eating. So I threw the baby spinach out. But it's interesting that you can get food poisoning and feel that way. I was not aware of that. So I had a very late start to the day today. Thankfully, I was... nothing to worry about on this end, though. With my schedule, I have a pretty liberal schedule at the moment. So, but a late start to the day. I didn't get into the gym until 11:30 to 2 today. All right, 2.5 hours CBG style. Okay, so, and I also went on a 45-minute walk. Ooh. All right, so let's take a look at what's going on here. Since we've last charted this, now the last time we took a look at this, looks like we were looking at a 2-week. Let's go to the weekly. The last time we charted this, we were somewhere up here, right? Because all these green lines here, they are implying they were areas of support. So we were up here, right? So now that we've fallen below these areas, I got all the areas of price confluence for you, Jorge. I don't have to rechart this. You can see right now we're under this line. I'd like to see for the week us get above 12 cents, but right now looks like we're having a little bit of problem right around 12 cents. This is really a range. It doesn't need to be exactly here. You could draw this right here, and actually I kind of like that better, to be honest. So we're sitting right there on support at like 12 cents. Downturn with the rest of the market. Not really a lot to add here. Price is trying to stabilize. Trying to go down to the lower time frames to see if I see anything that's pointing to a possible trend reversal back to the other upside. Now, the one thing I would note on a chart like this, Jorge, one thing you want to watch for, see how sharp of a decline that's occurring here? We've started to level out right here. We've started to level out. And the other thing you can do when you chart something like this, something really basic you can do to assess the overall strength of the downtrend, you can see if we're we're basically not able to break this black descending line. It looks like we're trying to at least flatten out here such that we're negating the descending line so that we can continue pushing up. So that's something to watch for. Let's go to actually a 12-hour, see if there's any bullish divergence. So yeah, so what's really nice to see, if we go to a lower time frame like this, we can actually see the relative strength index on a 12-hour time frame is increasing as the price has been going down, okay? So we have a little bit of bullish divergence on a lower time frame that may end up bleeding into some of these higher time frames like the daily and 3-day. But if we zoom out to a weekly, first off, this is a really nice looking chart. I really like the chart, Jorge. This is a really nice chart. Ever since you brought it up on the channel, which I appreciate, I think it's one of the nicer charts we've taken a look at, honestly, with very limited price data. I got your areas of support you want to see hold. I got your areas of resistance. Don't lose sight of the fact, okay? What I would share with you, Jorge, and I would reiterate with the rest of my audience, don't get so caught up in this little short time frame downturn, okay? This is only several weeks. Look at what we've done over the course of the past many months, okay? We've created higher highs and higher lows, right? I'll continue saying this. I think there are two big risks in this market right now. Please hear what I'm about to say. The two biggest risks that I currently see in the market based on what I'm reading and seeing on Twitter or X. Number one, people getting greedy to the downside and waiting for much lower price targets. And number two, getting complacent in this market, getting away from the computer and not paying attention to price action. You need to be paying attention to key charts in this market because the market, that was a shitty snap. The market can change on a dime. And I've told you this time and time again. All right? All it takes is one day for Bitcoin to be up 7, 8, 9, 10%, and you're going to see this market go fucking crazy. It's going to begin to go crazy, okay? So the two biggest, not threats, but the two biggest concerns I have, in the market right now, being over greedy to the downside with much lower price targets on Bitcoin, and number two, people becoming complacent and disinterested in crypto and not paying attention to what's going on. I think those are two big mistakes. If any of you are making it, which I have a very smart audience, so hopefully none of you are falling into that, into those categories, but that's what I see. Okay, now I know that, I think, who was it? Oof, I think, right? Yeah, Oof, you had a question yesterday, and you're bringing it up again today on BlackBerry. BlackBerry, Jesus. There is what the hell do they even do anymore, my friend? What does BlackBerry even do? Let me see. BlackBerry, they don't make phones, do they? What the hell are they in? They're going to say they're in AI? Let's see. Just like there were a lot of stocks that came out back in the day back in 21 that were saying they were into blockchain. I think it was like Mike's Hard Lemonade or something. They changed their ticker symbol. There was some weird company. BlackBerry products. They do have AI. Get the fuck out of here. Everybody's got AI. Son of a bitch. BlackBerry cybersecurity, driven by Cylance AI. I don't see anything about a phone on here. You guys remember BlackBerry phones were like the shit. They were the shit. You know what was also the shit before we get into this chart? When I was growing up, now that you know how old I am, and I've shared that with you, when I was growing up in the early to mid 90s as a kid, I loved, it was inarguably my favorite cartoon at the time, X-Men. The X-Men cartoon that was out in the early to mid 90s. And I was also into comic books. I collected, X-Men, Wolverine, I then got into Spider-Man. It became like an addiction. I was collecting so many different comic books. I have thousands, literally thousands of comic books, all in the cardboard sleeves, taped up still in my parents' my old bedroom in my closet. So that cartoon, love that cartoon. Has anyone here caught the X-Men 97 cartoon? I think they've done a phenomenal job with the cartoon. Now, the biggest issue I've had with the cartoon so far is actually the last episode that just aired last week. I'm not going to give anything away, but I think the way the cartoon, the event started at the beginning of the cartoon and then ended at the end, it was way too quick. They should have drawn that out for a few different episodes. I think everything just happened way too quick with how the ending went. But I've been very happy overall with that cartoon, X-Men 97. If any of you guys have not checked it out, and you are X-Men fans of any type, again, my love of X-Men, and Wolverine was always my favorite character by far. Always joked around if I had a son, I'd want his middle name to be Logan. Especially if you collected comics or you watched the old cartoon, great TV show. All right, anyway, let's get back to the charts here. This is BlackBerry. So Oof had a question on this from yesterday. This is something we haven't charted before. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of price data here. Okay, and this is a really great example. I really want you to look at this chart for a moment. So when I tell you guys, this is a really great learning opportunity for you guys. When I tell you guys that we need to be creative with Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is the longest standing cryptocurrency project, right? So just think about how this compares to the other cryptos that are much newer, like Caspa or Casper or Solana. But Bitcoin's price data only goes back to like 2012, okay? It's not a lot of price data. You got like 11 and a half, 12 years, whatever. It's not a lot of price data. Even BlackBerry has more price data. We have 24 years of price data here, okay? So this is what I'm talking about, and that's why I personally have come up with creative views like that 3-day chart with the 150 simple moving average. I've derived some historically significant information from a 12-hour chart. Just because there's not, Bitcoin really is, all things considered, a fairly immature asset. It has not been around for a while. And if I'm stating to you Bitcoin is an immature asset, things like Solana, HBAR, even Ethereum, Caspa, definitely, these are very immature, very immature. So, and it's also why you can be as convicted as you want, and I have deep conviction on a lot of these projects, but you also have to understand there's a tremendous amount of risk investing in these things because they have not been around for a while. But anyway, there's a lot of price data here. I love this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out. I could go to the monthly, and something like this actually I think would be value added to do. So if we go to a monthly chart, I think there's a lot of value looking at the monthly because there's so much price data. So right now, you can see this is the month of May that we're in right now. If we go down to the price indicators here, let's see, what can we divulge from the price indicators? And a monthly, I'm not seeing a whole lot. On the RSI. Okay, MACD, it looks like we may want to start to get a cross up on the MACD on the monthly for BlackBerry, which is great. But check out the stochastic RSI. Typically, and you can see a great example is here when we got a cross up. Typically, and I've pointed to this on other charts, especially on higher time frames, when there's enough price data present to have enough data points to go back in time to take a look at where similar for instances have occurred. When we get the stochastic RSI getting a positive cross, when it's really low and it's under 20, and then we start to cross back up and get above 20, these historically on many different charts have signaled a huge turnaround in bullish momentum to the upside. Now, it is historically significant. We're beginning to see that occur on the monthly. The stochastic RSI right now, the blue line, okay, you can't see it because my head's in the way, but the blue right now is at 17, and the orange is at 7, okay? So we have the positive cross. We just need to get above 20. May will be a critical month for BlackBerry and the rest of the stock market as well as crypto. If we see a bullish confirmation on the stochastic RSI on the monthly for BlackBerry, more than likely that's a sign of trend continuation to the upside. Let's take a look at a few moving averages here. You can see we're under the 20, under the 10. A lot of downside, really a lot of downside price action in recent years within this ticker symbol here. So you can see one of the things that OOF is pointing to here, if you read his comments, this price action right here, you see this huge move that we took here. And the same thing is if we took a look at AMC, we would see something similar. That gamma squeeze that we saw within GameStop, it occurred, I want to say it occurred around, it was either January or February, I think it was February of 2021. Well, you can see what happened in BlackBerry around the same time, right? We got a huge short squeeze in BlackBerry. So what I think what OOF is alluding to here is, hey, could we start to see the same thing within BlackBerry now that we're starting to see a short squeeze in GameStop? It's entirely possible, especially when you consider the fact of what I just spoke to on the monthly with this stochastic RSI crossing up. Now, what are some things I'm going to be looking for? I'm going to look for some key price levels to really tell me if we're beginning to see something that could be significant. $4.70. If you start to see prices push it back above $4.70, there's a lot of price confluence. We can look left, we can look here. And then we start to see prices pushing above $5.60. I think my line in the sand here, I would say right there, actually. Now, the reason I chose this line instead of coming down here with the price confluence on these candlesticks here, if we look here, we got price confluence here, all along here, and look here. Once we broke this line, we had a short squeeze up, right? Once you start to see it essentially, I'll make it simplistic for you, Oof. If we see BlackBerry begin to get above $6, there's a really good possibility you could see some sort of a large move to the upside. Now, $6 from where we're at, keep in mind we're at 368, so that's roughly it's more than a 50% move from where we're at, okay? I want to say that's 70% move. Now I got to check. It's the mathematician in me. I got to check. So 6 divided by 368. Yeah, 63% move. Okay, and I was going to say 60% too. So 63% move. So that's what I would be watching for. If we go down to a 2-week chart, the other thing I would point out here, okay? The other thing I would point out here, we're starting to get a cross up on the MACD. Stochastic RSI looks really good. RSI is starting to curve up. Look at price action. What does this look like to you? Well, I'll tell you what it looks like to me. This looks like a rounding bottom. Now, I'm not telling you that price is all of a sudden just going to explode up, but it certainly is setting up for a potential for that, especially given market conditions of what we're seeing in GameStop right now. I don't have my phone on me. I wanted to see after hours on GameStop. Of course, I could pull up a chart, but so it wouldn't shock me based on unlike the Shockmaster from WCW. Shout out to the Shockmaster, to all those who know the Shockmaster. It wouldn't shock me given market conditions, what we're seeing in GameStop. Maybe we do see something similar. But again, you would look for like that $6 area. And again, if we started to squeeze above $6, where would you look for resistance to come in? I'll show you. We got 8. We've got right around here at 1160. And we've got, I'd put it like right there, 1460. And then of course you got your wick up here at basically $29. You start going above 29, now things could get really crazy. I mean, you could start going up to 42, 43. I don't want to actually even entertain that until if we saw something like that. But this will be one that's maybe I should create a new watch list for myself. AMC, BlackBerry, GameStop, some ones. I think there were some other brick and mortars that had some short squeezes in there as well, like Bed Bath and Beyond. Of course, I think didn't they go bankrupt? So I don't even know if they have a ticker symbol anymore. But these will be really interesting to keep an eye on. Okay, I'll buy 1,000 shares above 471 and sell if it drops below as a stop loss. Never financial advice, oof. Never financial advice, but I do want to help you out here. Okay, I'm not giving you any financial advice, but what you could do is $6 is the sweet spot, like I said. So if I'll just tell you what I would do. Okay, what I would do. What I would do, to be honest with you. See, I always say that shit. To be honest with you, as if I'm not always honest with you. To be honest with you, this is what I do, because I'm never really honest with you guys. To be honest with you, we're already well above the moving averages. I was going to say use some of these moving averages as a stop loss, but you can't even do that. Yeah, so one smart play you could do, to your point, you could wait for price. You could get in at 471. That's fine, or 469. You just got to be careful with those stop losses. In something like this, I don't know how tight you want to make that stop loss. That's based on your risk to reward. But I almost, if it were me, like if I was entering a position, I don't even think I would go for 471. I would wait for a confirmation above 5. I would probably enter my position. It's a tough one. I would probably look to enter my position maybe north of 5. Yeah, I'd probably look to enter my position north of 5. And where would I set my stop loss? Let's have some fun. If I was entering a trade on this, what would I do? No, you know what? Fuck that. I would actually be on board with you. I would enter a position at 469, okay? Just shy of 471. I'd set a nice tight stop loss in there. Risk to reward ratio, of course, I'm playing something that's going above $6. You're buying 1,000 shares, so you're buying $5,000 worth, it's a decent chunk of change for most people. It's a decent chunk of change. I'd probably set in a stop loss at like So what I would do if I was entering a trade position here is I would enter a position at 469 and I would have a stop loss at 443. So what that does is 443. And the reason I picked 443 is that's minimizing my downside to roughly 5%. So that's how I would do it. But great question and great call out on how you would play it. But it is important if you're entering something like this, in my opinion, to have a stop loss in there. Jeprox, man, I haven't seen you in a long time. Glad to have you on the live stream, my friend. Yeah, it's interesting kind of coming on these live streams at different times. You get different people showing up. Different strokes for different folks. You could do that. You could certainly... The thing that... Now, I will tell you this, Oof. This is the only... The only issue I have with that is you can go to smaller time frames. It's just what I would do personally if I started going to smaller time frames, I would use these moving averages as my stop loss. So like me, for instance, if I really wanted to go small time frame, I might go to the 30 or 1 hour and just use some of these moving averages as areas to get in and then stop losses below the moving average. But even if you go to the 4 hour, you can see we're well above the 10 and 20. So that's kind of tough for me. This means we're a little overextended on these upper, we're a little overextended on these lower time frames. We're well above these moving averages. Not that we can't continue riding higher. It's just there's so much volatility. Even if you go to like a 2-day. You see how much higher above? We're just starting to get the 10 cross above the 50. Of course, another way you could play it, you could pick one of these moving averages, let's say on a 2-day, and you could wait for price to pull back to like, great example would be the 10-day moving average on a 2-day, right? So right now it's at 295. So as this continues to push up, and it looks like we'll get a new print on Thursday, as this blue line continues to print up, basically what I'm trying to say is if the blue line goes up like this, okay, anything like that, right? What you could do is you could wait for price to kind of experience some volatility. And the way you would play that position if you wanted to enter near like a 10 simple moving average, or you could even pick the 20 simple moving average, you want to pick a price point that is slightly above the moving average. You want to front run the moving average, okay? And then you can set your stop loss anything below another moving average. You could even another way to play, I mean, if you wanted to, you could enter, I think there's a higher risk of getting stopped out, but you could enter something where you're just above the 10 simple moving average and then enter a stop just below the 10 simple moving average, but I think you're likelier to get stopped out. But the key thing is you do, in the event that you're riding a moving average and you're trying to get into a position, guys, little trading advice here. If you're trying to get into a position and you're using this moving average as your indication of when to get in, always front run that price. It's the same premise. If you're looking to buy in something at $3, like let's say you're waiting for price to pull back exactly to $3, right? Front run it at 303 or 304 because all the smart money is going to be front running that psychological area, right? Everybody is waiting for that $3 level. Just like everyone is waiting for prices to come down to that moving average level, you want to front run that price a little. So there's a couple ways you can play it for sure. Guys, I think that's going to do it. For tomorrow, I am considering live streaming at a different time. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Again, increasingly giving thoughts to splitting up my time in terms of doing some live streams early in the morning. And then at the same time, once I get back on a normal work schedule, around 5:15 Eastern Standard Time. One idea I'm sort of throwing out there, you're welcome, Oof. One idea that I'm throwing out there is, PLI. I didn't understand your comment, Juan. I didn't get to your question. Yeah, we'll take a look at it before I tune out here. I'm trying to keep these to 30 minutes. Sorry, I didn't see that. One of the things I am considering is to make it easier, maybe Mondays and Tuesdays, I'm live at 5:15 Eastern Standard Time. And then on Wednesdays and Thursdays, I'm live at 5:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? So I can reach a different audience. And then Fridays are kind of up in the air. I've thought about maybe having Fridays as an optional live stream just to give myself a little bit more free time, to be quite honest with you at this point, especially starting a new job. Okay, PLI, plugin. Now, this is one we've looked at before. You can see, the golden buy zone, guys. Whenever I put a gold zone up like this is my golden buy zone. Clearly would have worked out really well for you. You can see if we extend it, this was the opportune area to buy in, guys. Awesome place to buy in. So now we've broken this downward area of resistance. This is on the 2-day. We'll just keep it on the 2-day. I kind of like the way this looks. We've broken out of downward resistance. Wouldn't shock me to see prices come all the way back down here. Remember, we commonly do that. We're going to back test this prior resistance as support before we catapult up. So don't be shocked if we come down to 3.4 cents. There's also price confluence right at this descending area here, okay? So right now, what we're doing is, really, I mean, this is essentially, to me, a triple top. We have a top here, top here, top here. This is a really hard area for us to get above. Let me show you without over... I don't want to clutterify this chart. I created a new word, another new word on this live stream. I don't want to over clutterify this chart. Let's get these moving averages off. So basically, there is... I'm not going to keep this on here because it's going to look too nasty on the chart. But this is our huge zone of resistance, right? This right here. In fact, I would extend this down. This is a huge zone of resistance. We need to break above there. And that sits between 5.6 and 6.5 cents. Okay? So I'm not interested in this chart until we start to definitively do this. And I'm not talking about a wick. You should know that by now. I want to see a candle body close up in this area. We can retrace here. We can form support. And now once we've done that, let's have a conversation about what's next. But again, don't be surprised if we come all the way down here. I'm not telling you we're going to. I'm just saying it wouldn't shock me based on how many of these setups we've looked at in the past and we've seen it do that. What would be stronger within the chart? Well, what would be stronger in the chart is if we can print a couple two-day candlesticks or weekly candlesticks above this area of 4.4. You can see right now I have it as an area of resistance. We've spent a significant amount of time below this 4.4. Look at how much time we spent below the 4.4. It's a huge win if we can create candle body closes above 4.4 and then start to battle this zone, eventually break it, and then just continue stair-stepping up. So that is what I see in the chart, my friend. All right, guys, now that will do it. So until next time, which will be tomorrow, possibly at 5:15 a.m. Until next time, everybody, let's all spread awareness and carry the education forward. Take care, everybody. Appreciate the support.